Hello, hello, hello. Today, the main thing that we're gonna be talking about will be the white hair bug because it has come up quite oftenly. And as we're gonna be talking about hair, I decided I may as well be dyeing mine while doing this. It's not like an exciting color, I'm just upkeeping my reddish hue with henna. And henna doesn't really need to be strictly washed off at the time when you should wash it off. You can leave it in for longer. So I'm not that limited in doing this video, and this kind of stops me from just being idle and sitting around and doing nothing while I wait for the hair dye to seep into my hair. So hooray! Now that I've explained this, let's explain what we're doing. Every single month, I collect all complaints or all notable posts of Infinity Nikki Reddit, and I present them as one big coherent video as a kind of way of keeping up with the community, what the community has been talking about for the most part in like about the past month. Normally I do these like once every update. The last update was kind of longer than a month, but this one is shorter than a month, so it kind of, it kind of balances it out. It's about once per month. So, I kicked my computer in order to stop it from buzzing. It now doesn't buzz anymore. Cool. Let's start in here from a topic that came up about a month ago. Sea of Stars intro keeps pushing my friends away from the game. Literally the title. I am a 1.0 player, and I always try to get my friends into the game. But after 1.5 dropped, every time someone gives it a try, the review is, what the F is going on? Why is the UI so confusing? Why are there so many players around me? Honestly, seeing people used to hard games being confused by Infinity Nikki UI is weird as all fuck, but it happened more than once. And no one got past the whole Sea of Stars part, except one who went to Wishfield and was too confused and gave up. To be honest, I wonder if we have kept playing if I was a 1.5 player. This is here because I want to continuously remind Infold that intro that is entirely disconnected from the rest of the plot makes your game really hard to pick up past the tutorial. I don't know what you were thinking. That intro belongs after Wishfield, not before it. It might be... I think they wanted to make it segmented so that you can start in Wishfield or Itzeland, but considering if you're starting in Itzeland, you already get a run-through of Wishfield, why not put that intro after Wishfield? So why not to give them a Wishfield intro, then get them through the tutorial bits, then ask the players, do you want to continue with Wishfield? Do you want to skip this chapter entirely and go straight to Itzeland, which is 2.0? And if they select to skip, then you could be like, here's what happened in Wishfield. By the way, at the end of it, Sea of Stars. It's a plot point that only makes sense if you already know plot. But they put it at the start as the definite tutorial in order to make the game more flexible. I think it's really, really hurting their player retention, and I do hope that they rethink and remake their intro yet again. It can be something entirely different, something that just kind of explains the general plot lines. It can't be Sea of Stars. That intro is absolutely 100% not working. Next topic. Sorry if this has been said before, but I really wish limited time events were not dependent on how far into the main story quest you have gotten. I want to be able to enjoy the event and take my time with main story quest. To clarify, I have no problem with the event being the main story quest. That's awesome. I love it. What I want to not it be locked out of the current event quest because I haven't finished the prior chapter of the main story quest. Genshin started this way too, but they have since implemented a warning that says something like, paraphrasing, "You're not caught up enough for the event quests to make sense. Are you okay with spoilers?" And if they are, you can proceed with the event quests. I think giving player maximum flexibility is always a good thing. Of course, fear of missing out is kind of really playing into this because 2.5 is permanent, and I believe 2.6 dungeon might also be permanent. Don't quote me on this, I am not entirely sure, but with permanent events, they're kind of always there, but you get extra rewards for doing them at the same time as everybody else. So people sometimes want to skip around. And look, not everybody is into the games for its storyline. I think giving people the ability to skip around and giving people the maximum flexibility is kind of a good thing. And I'm sure that Infold recognizes that, especially considering that they allow you to skip straight to 2.0. So I do want patch cycles to be more related to the story, instead of just being disconnected festivals like we had in 1.0. I'm pretty sure that those disconnected festivals kind of approach the issue of you needing to be caught up with the story to play it. But I want them to continue as they're going, but I see absolutely nothing wrong in just allowing people to skip forward if they want to skip forward. Next topic. Infold should be embarrassed by how bad the wardrobe is. 1.5 years in and the wardrobe is still atrocious. We need a toggle for poses. If you hit a specific pose, taking off the item doesn't stop the pose, you have to find something else to trigger a different pose. Images from the Born Flawless outerwear. When I zoom in on this pose, I can't even get Nikki's face in frame. It's kind of easier to zoom on PC. I don't know if this person is on PC, on PS5, or on mobile, because you sort of can control the direction in which you're zooming. Like, I can zoom in on different angles on my Nikki. So for me, that's not much of a problem. But for example, Timeless Melody poses this. It sure makes it very easy to select your accessories when she's constantly like doing this in front of her chest. It sure doesn't make it a problem to select the necklaces. No siree. Definitely not. Evolution should be stacked to make the wardrobe more searchable. I can see 15 items at once, but with the evolutions I can only really see 4 to 8 different items, just repeated in different colors. While I kind of got used to it, I do agree. There should be a clear to default option when you can set favorited items to stay on Nikki, even when you hit clear. Skin tone, makeup, hair, etc. Also, hard agree, I have some items that will always kind of be on my Nikki, so having them on would definitely help, especially when skin tone is unequipable. Once again, controller support is neglected. Panning and scrolling is so slow. It's so frustrating when dyeing and you find the color in a later palette, and when you want to dye another area that same color, going to the top of the palette list and taking multiple seconds to scroll down to see if the area works well in that color or not. Sometimes I'm tapping the joystick multiple times to figure out where the cursor is stuck, because I'll start moving it again. Why is there no do-it-yourself workshop for customability outfits? It's so annoying to have to build the outfit in main wardrobe, go to the ability menu, have no way to bring in the outfit you just built, try to rebuild it piece by piece, and then figure out one of your pieces isn't compatible with the outfit. I do agree, because you can't really dye in it, neither can you use import codes nor color lookbook while building an ability outfit, and it does beg the question why, because you just have to kind of build it and then build it again. All item previews should have a dummy wardrobe option that includes skin tone and the default down and ponytail hair options that's currently used for previews. I want to be able to zoom in and select outfit pieces individually before I decide to purchase them. I outright want to see more of the outfit. I want to be able to see Nikki run at an incline, run at a steep decline, to see if any items clip. I would like to be able to preview separate items with outfits that I'm already wearing. There needs to be a lot of improvements in that section, but I bet that it kind of gets them money in a way, because effectively influencers have to do majority of the heavy lifting, by buying the outfit and then trying the outfit in various possible ways. And then, of course, a static video is not always what people are searching for, because they might want to know if a specific item piece is usable with a specific different item piece. And we can't really account for every situation known to man, so having more previewable and flexible preview windows would help absolutely everybody. In fact, in a lot of games like MMOs, you can like toggle to see items that you don't own, and they will have like a lock mark, or they will be like having a button of like pay this much currency to purchase it, or go to this window to purchase it. But it allows you to just slap the item on top of the outfit that you already have to see how it would look with it. And I think that would be a great approach for Infinity Nikki. I'm not entirely sure if they will ever do that, but it would be great if they did. Then, of course, people went in with their own wish list. So we also have be able to closely zoom back in when you zoom out, looking at makeup. Favorite or hide item options. I would love that, because obviously there is a lot of options that we have, and we don't use all of them at all time. Current overworld lighting option and wardrobe to prevent misleading dyeing. If anything, I think that based on how the game acts for me, and how laggy the wardrobe is, I think that the wardrobe is an overlay that's loaded on top of the world that you're already standing in. It would be nice if we could just strip the overlay and just make the outfit in the open world. So you still have like item selects, you still have color lookbook buttons, you still have the dye buttons, but all of the background and everything is just your Nikki standing wherever she was standing. I think that would help a lot of people, and I think that shouldn't be too hard to implement. Mind you, I don't know. It's just that I have this feeling that they don't actually unload the overworld while you're in the wardrobe. Based on how wardrobe's performance has been tanking for me, and based on where I'm currently standing when I turn on the wardrobe. So I just think that maybe the solution is to just not load in the full wardrobe. Maybe that would be not that hard to do, and maybe they should. Custom tags for items so we can make our own categories like boots or sleeveless. Yeah, all of those are very nice suggestions. I do wish that they would improve the wardrobe. I think that dress up is the main part of the game that most people play, so there should be quite a lot of attention given to that side, and I do hope that they make some changes going forward. I feel like I have enough dresses, not a rant. This isn't meant to be another all we get is dresses post, just a personal conclusion I've arrived at. I feel like I have all the dresses for all the outfits, styles, and purposes I can come up with. Hell, I already have too much of anything. The new 4 stars are beautiful, but they don't fill in any void that will make me say, I need this in my wardrobe. The last dress I pulled for was Echoes Upon the Gale, because I wanted to have something more simple, and Infold very rarely does simple. But now I don't even know what dress could make me go, yes, that's something new that I need. And I don't even think that that's the game's fault or something Infold should change. It's just natural eventual conclusion, I guess. And that's kind of the issue when you have a dress-up game, and also why people were having slight ball gown fatigue. When 2.6 banners dropped, a lot of the reactions were, not another ball gown. It's just, they kind of need to continuously still make these outfits for new players, because new players don't have old outfits that sort of look like it, so you still need these kind of items coming out. But going forward, when you already have 1 year's worth of iteration on a specific type of clothes, it's very hard to sell to people that have been with you since 1.0 because they will look at the new stuff and go, I have something fairly similar at home, I'm good. So I actually wonder if their sales figures will reflect that, because I think that's why we had so much experimentation during 2.5, where one dress is a bit more walkery themed, where it has like this whole head covering thing, why we're getting see-through socks, why we're getting floating shoes, while we're getting no shoes. It's to entice you to pull, because it's the kind of item that you might not have in your wardrobe and might not have seen before. I feel like that's why Flowery Rebirth, however that banner is called, had so many alternative versions, because they needed to sell you on something that's a little bit different. So I kind of wonder why they just went for a fairly straightforward ball gown for 2.6, and whether they just didn't want 2.6 to be like an earning patch where they're like, okay, so some people are gonna, get that because they're new to the game or they like ball gowns or it's like super their thing. But we don't need to like super try to push this because this is just a filler patch. I wonder if they arrived at that conclusion, because otherwise I would have assumed that that dress would have something a bit more extra, something a bit more special, something to like really sell it to their old players and not just whales and new players, as I imagine that people that played for a very long time make a significant portion of this game's population, especially considering that the Sea of Stars intro is turning away quite a few potential new players. Next post. This can be summed up with, wait, where are all old Miracle Outfits alternative details? And I do agree. I'm so scared that they're waiting until 3.0 to unveil the alternative details for Orosa, Silvergale, and Sea of Stars. The one I'm most looking forward to is Orosa's alternative dress. I think it being short will be really versatile, and the alternative makeup for all of them would be really nice to have, considering that they had shown us Orosa being designed at the time when they unveiled the alternative dress in 1.0. 1.0, 1.8. I do honestly hope that they haven't just like forgotten about it, or that they didn't just like deem it a non-worthy expense, because technically these are free-to-play dresses. These are dresses that we just have. I think it's kind of like a goodwill gesture to update free-to-play dresses after they have already been released. And I think that they should do it, but that's kind of because I'm one of the players and I'm greedy. Technically, they don't have to, and I'm kind of worried that they're not gonna, because once again, it's a lot of work. We had seen Orosa being worked at when 1.8's first alternative details started dropping, and it's yet to come home to us. So I wonder what the design to update pipeline is, whether it's just really long, did they push it back, or whether they just deemed it to not be a sensible investment. Because look, I get it if they deemed it not to be a sensible investment, but I do still want it. Welcome to the infamous white hair bug. This is something that got the community quite mad, because it was quite a harmless bug. You just needed to select a color to save it. Like, this person is like showing how it works. Effectively, you like disable it, then re-enable it, then turn the glossiness to the maximum, then disable it, re-enable it a couple times, and there you go. And suddenly you have pure white hair. And it worked on 4 stars and it worked on 3 stars. And those are normally the items that do not have the pure white palette. And they also tend to not have the pure black palette either. It was a harmless bug. People had a lot of fun with it. Infold patched it in 10 hours. There are game-breaking bugs that stay in the game for longer than that. Now, mind you, it was probably an easy patch. Developers prioritize easy patches because it's like, oh, duh, it's just like one column that has snuck in where it shouldn't be, or like one word was misspelled, or like it's something very, very simplistic that you can just have like a programmer take a look at and he's like, oh yeah, this fix will take me like 3 minutes. I can do it on my coffee break. But the reason why the community got upset is because it's something that the community was having fun with, and it's also something that we don't have. We can't get pure white hair on 3 stars or 4 stars. Infold, the fun ruiners, already patched this bug, and there was quite a lot of people upset about it because they wanted the pure white hair on 3 stars and 4 stars. I think that the sales strategy here is that they can sell you 5 stars based on the fact that they have white and black dyes. It makes white and black dye a bit more exclusive, makes you want to pull, especially considering that they tend to be locked behind evolutions, so it makes you want to pull the more exclusive, the more expensive item, and it makes you pull for longer because you need to hit the evolutions, and you might not be as inclined to buy if you were able to have pure white and pure black hair on 3 stars and 4 stars. This doesn't change the fact that people love some 3-star and 4-star hair, and that they would love to have white and black dye. I think it might be an idea to just start selling white and black dye pots for IRL money, not even like for currency, that then you can apply to a specific haircut to unlock that specific dye palette. I think that would allow Infold to harvest some money from this directly while still providing the hair dyes to the people that desire it. And I think that they could do with selling 5-star hair on other qualities, be it extravagant hairstyles never seen before, be it hair accessories, be it, please make it toggable hair effects. I think toggable effects would really entice people to buy because you can look super fancy and super extravagant, but you could also maybe toggle it off and make it look not as fancy and not as extravagant. So, versatility sells. We did see some versatility being added into, once again, Flower Rebirth's hair that came as a long and short haircut at the same time, which in my opinion is novel and fun. So they don't really need to sell you that hair based on having white or black palettes. I understand from the developer's point of view of fixing this bug, but I also understand what the community wants. So it would be really nice if the company and the community could come to like a middle ground and we could, I don't know, just sell us some dye pots on the cash store. You like cash, right? Be like, you want white hair on a 3-star? Okay, $1 per 3-star. Like $2 for 4-star. People would be like, this is an outrageous amount of money, and they would still pay because they do want those dyes. And everybody probably has a couple of very specific haircuts that they really, really like, that they would actually shell out real life money for. I think that would be a way that a company could do it without, losing their own profit. But just, man, allow the community to have their fun colors, fun non-color colors, as we seem to really like the colors that are the least colorful. Nikki Pink is another one really, really popular, and this one is not available on majority of the hairs regardless. Like the standard Nikki hair color that she came with, people would also, I think, buy that one if you would want to sell it for other haircuts. Now, welcome to clipping. I already addressed clipping through running and through movement and things coming through in a way that they shouldn't. Another pet peeve for the community is just how items lie on top of one another. They obviously can, they just don't want to. I'm so tired of these premium boots being sold to us in the unfinished and clipping way. Infold obviously can do better, as they can be seen by the mostly free boots in image 2. You're currently looking at image 2, and you see how the boot comes over the pant? This is the premium boots. The pant goes over the boot for some reason. So like you pay money and you get worse experience than if you don't pay money, and that is precisely the point that this person is making with their post. So they know how to make the boot go over the pant, but they don't. And I wonder if it's like a time-based change, where they just changed how they layer clothes sometime recently and all those boots were a bit older. But I think that they're not that much older, honestly, because I'm pretty sure that this one is a recent one, is definitely from Italand. So I don't know what's happening over there. Or is it just that they believe that pant on top of the boot is more sellable than boot on top of the pant, and it is more of a style that's more popular in China, maybe? And that's now the selling point of the boot and pant situation. Though I think providing choice would be a win-win if that's possible, to be able to just toggle whether you want pant to go on top of boot or boot on top of pant. But this is a more complex programming situation, so I don't quite know how hard that would be to implement. But once again, when it comes to dress-up games, I think choice is key. I think the more choice that you can provide, the better you're gonna do with your target audience. Next complaint is, this is really annoying. I don't want to be that person, but this is exactly why I mostly ignored this area of the game. And don't get me wrong, I want to befriend and chat with other Nickies, but this isn't the way to go about it. My husband has brought in food. Anyway, people get votes on their color lookbook stuff, like their outfits, and also now the photo contest entries by just spamming other people with it. So like they will befriend you and then they will send you their own entries for you to vote on. I honestly don't even think that this is a community problem. I think you shouldn't be able to send your entries, especially your photo entries, because it's a competition. So you should, be competing fairly, and you just shouldn't be able to spam other people with it. I think if that competition was a lot more anonymized, it would be better to begin with, because I don't even think that you should be able to know which entry belongs to whom to kind of make it a more level playing field. I don't think that Infold is that invested into it to actually make changes, but I think that these would be good changes to make when it comes to the competition. I have a very active cat that keeps on asking for my attention. Great. Can we finally acknowledge that the Wishfield's purification outfits got snubbed? And this is something that's written out in like a dev post. While many stylists requested customizable orb colors, the hues are tied to future story developments. Stay tuned for Nikki's evolving abilities on her adventure. And what they're trying to showcase is that we now have outfits with a lot of different arrow colors for archery. But when it comes to purification, you're still mostly limited to a giant green orb. Purification colors didn't change, but they did implement the change going forward when it came to archery. I think what happened is that purification has mutated into archery, and they didn't want to like go back and redevelop the old purification outfits because now they are seen as obsolete, which in my opinion is really sad. At the very least, allow the effect to have a different color and make it more into a photo prop or something, because they are correct. Wishfield's purification outfits got snubbed in that regard. It is nice that we're getting different colored arrows going forward with our new version of purification, but it would also be nice if the old purification was still usable for something, and as such also had effects that more matched the vibe of the outfit that the effect is being produced by. And considering that these outfits will still be sold as reruns, I think this is the kind of change that would just be like kind of a nice to make sort of thing, where just think how old purification could still be implemented and used around the world, or as a photography prop or something, because surely you don't want to sell outfits with completely useless abilities, right? Right? You do want more people to still buy these. You do want to sell them to new users. I think that is the plan, right? The next complaint also to do with how the game changed over time. Yeah, well, that's no longer the case, is it? I miss when Stylist Guild would reward me for winning against the Sovereigns. This is a loading screen. The Stylist Guild offers generous rewards for taking on the Sovereigns. Don't forget to bring Sovereigns medals and redeem your rewards. Generous rewards, well, nowadays, there's no such thing anymore, but I would love to see some special prize, even 1,000 diamonds. I mean, we're taking on the Sovereigns. They should have special rewards, not just a little badge to wear. And I do agree, it feels like the Sovereign gameplay took a step back in Itsland. For one thing, we still only have 2. Well, how many did we have in Wishfield? 4? I think it was 4. So they really stepped back on that when it comes to the expansion content, and that's just a shame, man, because it's the fashion gameplay in your fashion game. I'm kind of just saddened that Infold seems to be pushing back against the fashion elements as time goes on. The new photography contest is a step in the right direction, but I just wish that they weren't so afraid to embrace the fact that they're a fashion game. Like, you don't need to complete the dresses anymore to progress the storyline. There's less of an emphasis on actually making a point when Nikki comes up with a new design. There's just Sovereigns. You don't need to engage with the Stylist Guild anymore in order to like get the medals for crafting your outfits from them. Sovereigns don't really bring any that mind-blowing rewards. It's just, it feels like Itsland, they were like more actiony, less fashiony, and I don't really appreciate that direction, and I hope that by 3.0 maybe we could go back to the roots and go more fashiony than actiony. I think that is a lot more as appropriate of a direction for a fashion game in Fold, because do remember, your game is a fashion game. It's not just like Genshin Impact with outfits. Next post is a bit of a combination with we have too many materials and not enough things to do. Give me more lifetime suits. Just as the title suggests, I want more suits that take a while to gather materials for. I don't mean waiting once a week for a Mirror Crown. I want to have to collect hundreds of bugs, fish, flowers, etc. As a late game player, I find myself logging on, doing my dailies in 5 minutes, maybe finishing a new quest or two, or maybe making a new outfit, but I feel like I have nothing to work towards currently. I left the grind of Silvergale Aria, and I was hoping that the new legendary suit would be like that again, but it needs minimal materials besides the blue flowers from the Mirror Crown Combat Challenge. I think that this is like a a bit of a careful balance sort of situation. You don't want to overwhelm new players. You don't want to put them ever in a position where they just really can't catch up with the rest of the player base. And now we have two different bosses giving different materials for legendary outfits, plus Mirror Crown. It means that you can work on at least 3 miracle/legendary outfits at the exact same time, which means that the newer players can move at a faster pace, but the old veterans are stuck in a place where we have a lot of materials. We have no way of spending these materials. We have no reason to collect more materials, and you finish with your dailies in 5 minutes and log off. I think that they were trying to address this problem in various ways by introducing more dailies, which nobody liked, by introducing things like housing, which ended up being kind of clunky to deal with, and most people like made a build and then forgot that that system even existed. So the way that they have been addressing this problem currently, oh yeah, and I completely forgot all the multitudes of shops that you needed to run in Insolent. The way that they have been addressing this problem so far has come off more as annoying rather than exciting. So, that's a bit of a problem. I still support the idea of giving us a way to unload excess material that's not just transforming it into blinks, bubbles, and threads being limited by your own energy, because you're limited by your own energy. So now I caught so many butterflies with my bug catching outfit that I can retire from collecting materials for a year and I'm still not gonna be through all my butterflies. I had the exact same issue with some very easy to access plants in Wishfield, where I would just kind of run through and absentmindedly collect them and ended up with like such a quantity of plants that I could just never touch any material ever again, and I would still have plants to escalate with. We need a reason to have such large quantity of thing and a way to unload this thing in a way that's beneficial for your account without making it a forced grind for everybody else, I think. Maybe do a secondary escalation for far worse results because you don't use actual energy for it, especially considering that for whales, it's practically impossible to glow up all the items that they have unless they spend even more money to somehow buy energy or transform a lot of energy using diamonds, because there's just not enough of that energy to glow up absolutely everything, making glow ups more possible for whales or people that have a lot of clothing, while also incentivizing you to actually engage with the open world and collect new materials, I think would be an acceptable solution in this case. So just like escalation point 2.0, but with obviously much worse exchange rates. Maybe like 1 bug for 1 thread, or 10 bugs for 1 thread, because that way we have a reason to farm. We have a reason to farm quite a lot, and yeah, we have a way to use that, and I think that would be a win-win scenario. They're trying to find new ways to drain our stellarites. There must be not a lot of people using their stellarites, because this is something new that they have never done before. Granted, it seems to be a somewhat decent deal since the conversion of stellarites to diamonds is a 1-to-1 ratio, and so rather than, for example, 600 stellarites for 600 diamonds, you get some extra pulls thrown in for less than what you would typically spend. I am suspicious though. I really wonder if they might eventually increase the quality and uniqueness of their store outfits after this just to get people yearning. I don't personally plan to use my stellarites on this, since I use them exclusively for clothing and makeup, but I'm curious what other people's thinking about this is. So, I think that they could kind of keep this going as a semi-permanent thing, because I know that some people are sitting on stacks of Stellarites with nothing to do with it. Because you do get like 300 Stellarites for buying monthlies, which means that people might be buying monthlies for the monthly sake, and then they end up with Stellarites stacking up, and they just never like things that are on sale in the store. Now, it's not a good deal for a dolphin like me, because for me, you know the packs where you can buy pulls? I never use up those packs before they refresh it, because duh, I don't just like go and throw in 50 pounds of currency onto a game to buy some pulls. Like, my bigger packs never get used up, period. And my smaller packs, even most of the time, don't get used up until they reset with like the new expansion. Like, I'm pretty sure they resetted them between Wishfield and Nitzalan so that you get the bonus, like, not the bonus, but you just get to buy the packs again. I don't know how often they reset them, but they do reset them at points. And it's a better deal for me to buy that than to get the Stellarites to then buy pulls with it. So for me, I just looked at it and I was like, that's a very high price for a pull. Like, why would I want that? But people that buy pulls, this is a good deal for them, because it means that it's more discounted pulls that they can get before they need to start turning their Stellarites into diamonds directly, which is the absolute worst conversion rate. So I think that they should just like keep this around. I don't mind being able to buy pulls directly with Stellarites. It's just that I don't see this as being super appealing for anyone that's not really a whale. And I don't know if they're actually planning to do more impressive store outfits. I'm not living on a pile of Stellarites. I'm living on a tiny teeny bit of Stellarites. At the moment, it's like 100 and something, I believe. Because I always like get a makeup here and there, I get like a 300 Stellarite outfit here and there. I end up needing to top up for those things even. So I do really use up my Stellarites and then poof, they're gone. And then there's no more Stellarite for me to use. And lastly, why does only Fairy Tale Swan have the ball gown run? Only when wearing the Fairy Tale Swan dress, Nikki places her hands directly on the dress. It looks like she holds onto it while running, which makes a lot of sense to do when sprinting in such a big gown. But I wish she would do it with all of the big dresses. This is a very interesting question, because I have noticed that they stopped developing dress-specific animations as much. Because, like, for example, the cat outfit also has a very unique way of movement that is not used for other outfits. I think it's a cost-saving measure to not do these kind of things, but at the same time, if you already have a ball gown running animation, it's just really perplexing to me that Infold didn't actually use it in other places. Just, you already have the animation, you can just apply it to all ball gowns. Is it to make Fairy Tale Swan look more special? Or is it because Infold entirely forgot that they had the animation? And this will be it for this video. Other complaints that come up a lot are bugs, especially considering that there seems to have been a freeze happening on PS5 specifically, with being unable to progress part of the story. In general, the control scheme for phones or PS5 seems to be overlooked by quite a lot by these developers for some reason. So for example, there's also a point in the story where you need to rotate an object, but on a PS5, you can't. I'm not including these kind of little things, because while they are very serious, because you just overlooked a whole, like, swath of your gaming population, like, how did you even do that? It's also things that I just, like, expect to be fixed. Like, it's the kind of things where I expect developers to go, oh, whoopsie, and then they, like, fix it in, like, a couple of days. So, I don't want to, like, include something mind you, this is Monday. I'm releasing this video on a Thursday, so there isn't like much of a time gap for this one. But I don't want to include something that's just like a easy fix sort of problem. That's just like a regular bug. It's more of a ongoing issues that the community has with the game, or like interesting tidbits. But do be aware that game do be bit bugged on PS5, yo, from what I understand from the complaints that have been floating around. Other than that, there hasn't been any major conversations that I could catch happening. It could be that I overlooked some stuff, or it just could be that there's not a lot of major conversations happening right now. Sometimes we have a filler patch, and we're currently having a filler patch. So the community can be a bit calmer and just take the time to process things that have already happened and that have already been talked about. Like, I've been making a lot of videos about things that came up as information about during the 2.5 time, because it was a bigger patch, it had more promotional material about it, and it just seemed like the right time to put this. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that this enlightens you as to what are the pressing issues for the community. If you have any pressing issues not mentioned here, please put them down in the comments section down below. At the very least, I will read them, and we can also agree to put it in a survey together. For people not keeping up with the game, I hope that this kind of tells you what the community's gripes are. And yeah, thank you for watching. I enjoy doing these once a month. It's kind of become a pattern by this point. Do know that I'm just like selecting what the community has gripes with, so it doesn't mean that like the whole game is bad and that everybody's rating it at like 0 out of 10. It's just the things that we have gripes with, which will exist in any game that has ever existed. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for my Patreon supporters. It's been so long that now I have a full plate of food in front of me, and I also still need to wash my hair. So, toodaloo for now.